Your favorite radio station.
This is Afro Vibes Radio Houston.
This is a Total Medulla production.
You want to advertise your event or business? Contact Total Medulla at totalmedulla.com.
Too many MCs, not enough mics, not enough mics.
So disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer. Doesn't have my political science degree.
Having different perspectives and outlooks is key to growth. I'm Gerald Jarman.
I don't claim to know everything. I just claim to know where to look. I'm Stephen Hawkins.
I just slid right in. It's no big deal. I'm Kyle Lee. Devontae called me up on short notice.
Coming to you from the Afro Vibes Radio Houston studios, Total Medulla Entertainment presents Medulla Talk with your hosts, Devontae Hill and Stephen Hawkins. Salutations all and welcome to Medulla Talk. I'm your host, Devontae Hill. Let's get this thing started. It's episode 8. How we feeling out there?
Great. Only 8?
Yeah, man.
Dang. We're at like episode 50 right now.
Yeah, these episodes have been flying by real fast. Yeah.
If you are listening on the Afro Vibes Radio Houston app on Thursdays at 9, salutations. If you're watching on YouTube, how you guys doing? And of course, iTunes, SoundCloud, we welcome you in as well. I'm here with none other than Kyle Lee.
Hello, everyone.
And of course, Muhammad Jamal.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, he's not on Tinder this time, so. And we have a special guest.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gerald Jarman, star of the podcast.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I live for this moment. Go ahead.
So I'm just like now forgetting on purpose.
Sorry, Tracie. The context of that is he always forgets him, and I always remember him.
That is all good.
Okay.
But yes, Tracie is here today. She's going to be our special guest. Yeah, we're going to get into that in a little bit. If you guys are wondering where Stephen Hawkins is, he's still alive.
Yeah, rest in peace. He's here in
6
spirit.
feet below
Wow.
the ground.
Yeah, until he comes back from the grave.
Yeah.
He's actually in the producer booth in the show. So
Staring at us.
Yeah. Beady eyes all in the distance.
Yeah, his silky smooth voice is
I see
impaired.
glasses in the booth.
He's a little sick today, so.
Why do I feel like Boondocks?
We've quarantined him
My
in
spirit.
the booth. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this is episode 8. We're talking about social interaction and dating. Now, before I really start the show, I would like to give a shout out to Ivy. She sent us an email in the Afro Vibes email box
Oh, God.
talking about how awesome we were.
Is this more Steve love notes?
This is actually a general love note.
Oh, okay.
Like, this is a non-Stephen Hawkins love note. So I was like, this is awesome.
We need more of those.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ivy, shout outs to you.
Yeah.
Appreciate the love. She said that you guys are now the hit show.
Oh,
So,
great.
yeah,
That's good news.
Oh.
fantastic. So, interesting thing here. We got this idea for the show at a blind date event that Muhammad, Stephen, and I attended not too long ago. And besides the fact that we were the only guys in attendance, which was pretty interesting.
There was one another guy.
Yeah, there was one other guy. Yeah.
Just one poor fella all by himself.
Essentially, we were the life of the party. Basically.
I like the idea of one guy going at a dating thing going, oh, hey, there's guys here.
That was basically us. Well, we noticed the premise of the game that was being played, and essentially it was trying to get folks to know one another and to interact, right? And what's interesting is whenever I go to concerts or plays, just events around Houston, especially things like this one, I notice that there's a large number of women, but you don't really see too many guys. And the guys that are there are usually with a girlfriend, a wife, someone who brought them there, right? And really, the only time I see men at this large of volume, as far as numbers are concerned, is usually at either a bar or a club. Environments that are not talking friendly. You really can't conversate.
Places where there's like loud music.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Right, and so, last episode we talked about social capital. And so today we wanted to kind of move into another element of that conversation as far as, how we interact, especially since now interaction has become so web-based and how that's influenced with personal interactions. So we have Tracie Jae, creator of I'm Glad You Asked, to help with this conversation.
Hey, y'all. I'm from Texas. What can I say?
Now, unfortunately, I can't leave it at there. Gerald, Steven, Tation, she's actually a Sam Houston graduate. So that's an issue at this studio.
I'm not a Sam Houston graduate. I'm not a Sam Houston graduate. But I did attend Sam Houston State University.
And
Eat 'em
here
up,
we
cats.
Mm. Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not a character flaw. It's all right.
So did you go to Stephen F. Austin?
We're repping SFA up in here. We're huge. We're deep.
Yeah.
Hey, if you can see Steven right now, he's repping the Axum Jacks right now.
Whatever.
He's gonna faint if he don't stop.
Yeah.
You're sick. Remember that,
Yes.
right?
Y'all were in diapers when I was at Sam Houston. So
Okay,
Ooh,
see,
and
we're
y'all
not trying to get
faces.
into all that, all right?
I'm just
All right,
saying.
we don't need to know what I was in,
I'm
what I
just
was
saying.
wearing.
I'm just saying.
But no, you've done a lot of interesting things. Obviously, you've gotten a master's at some point.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about just your overall journey and how you got to this point.
That is so freaking vague.
I know. I wanted to throw a
Overall
softball
journey.
to you, so you know.
That's not soft. That is so huge. Like, I've lived a whole life before I got here. So, okay, basics. I'm from Houston. I've only lived in Houston, except when I lived in Huntsville, Texas.
We're gonna pass through that.
Yeah.
Just want to speed right through that one.
I have 3 daughters who are adult people.
Adult people.
Adult people. They are 20, 22, and 24. I have a master's degree in strategic communication and leadership from Seton Hall University.
Yeah.
I own a company called Games That Change.
Now, how did that start?
Yeah. That's not a short story either.
We got time.
Okay, so I don't want to hear myself. Okay. So I have been studying questions for about 3.5 years. Mostly questions that people should ask themselves.
Okay.
Because unfortunately we just don't have enough dialogue with ourselves, and the things that we think, feel, and believe are oftentimes influenced by outside.
Yeah. So you're basically talking about interpersonal reflection.
Right.
Yeah.
Introspection, if you will.
Yeah. Okay.
I have been billing myself for the last maybe 4 years as the world's only introspection guide. And then I came to the stark realization after many attempts at having workshops in Houston that people just don't really want to talk to themselves.
Interesting.
Well, we do it all the time, but we don't want to like process it. We don't want to like own it.
What is the reasoning behind that, or what you've experienced is the reasoning behind that?
Well, oftentimes when we have these conversations with ourselves, we get answers we don't want.
Oh, you mean the truth?
The truth. You can't handle the truth. And so in my conversations with other people, I realize we have a lot. Yes, there's mysterious being happening.
Yeah,
God has our email account.
You've got mail. Now I'm dating myself for real. That is AOL. Anyway, so in conversations with other people, I realized that lots of people are suffering from the same failures, and that a lot of those failures are tied directly back to communication. And so I was looking for a way that people could go back to talking, but I didn't want to write a book, even though I've written a book in the past. It's a novel. It's a long time.
What's the name of it?
What? Oh, it's called The Puzzle.
The Puzzle. Okay.
Was a long time ago, as I said, in a whole other life. But my friends who know that I write say, you should write a book. You should write a book. Yeah, I don't want to do that. So I was trying to find a product that could still serve the same purpose in the world.
Right.
And so the game sort of came to me. And so since the game came first before the, chicken or egg, the game came before the company came.
Okay.
So then I figured we'll just have games in the title of the company. That makes sense. And the premise is that we're changing the way people communicate. So games that change.
I guess starting with yourself, is that kind of, or just?
So you could, but the purpose of this particular game is for you to actually have conversations with other people.
So this is just beyond. This is on basic level communication. This is like beyond dating or relationships. Just basically talking to other people.
Yeah. So oftentimes when we say the word relationship, people assume romantic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of forget about platonic.
People forget about platonic. We forget about familial relationships. We forget about business relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But we have all of these kinds of relationships, and we suck at all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Very true.
I want to help us not suck.
All right. You might be saving the world for all you know.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I guess I should take it and ask you guys, since we're talking about communication.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys doing any kind of self-reflection in times of, I guess, during your personal time, or?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mohammed.
Yeah. I do this at the end of every day. After I come home from work, I try to reflect on how I could have said a message better, either to a colleague, to an audience, to just an individual person, I come across with. I always try to find a way to communicate a message better and more effectively, just because there's always room for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So your reflection isn't really you per se, it's just how you're communicating with others. Is that essentially what you're saying?
Yeah, but it's indicative. How do I put this? It's indicative of how I can express a thought, right? And we use our words, right? We live in a society, but yes, you can use your actions, but your words do convey some meaning, right? Whenever you engage in a conversation with another person, and the words that you choose, and of course how you say it matters. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. I do find a lot of my time, especially I found myself doing a lot of more personal reflections after breaking up with Brittany.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
It's this episode, then.
Shout out to Steven. Yeah.
God?
So Steven wanted me to talk about this.
I love how you're saying names on here too. I feel like you should just say.
I know.
After I break
But
up.
I've already mentioned
No
her on this.
privacy whatsoever.
But I've already mentioned her in this program before. We can't hear you, Steven. You don't have a mic.
I can, unfortunately. It says it's Brittany's from Brittany's. Oh, okay. I shouldn't repeat it. Okay,
So
sorry.
I didn't say that part of the information. That's fine.
Yes,
Steven.
I'm sure Brittany knows who she is.
If she didn't, she does now.
This is like going freaking downhill fast.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Come on back.
But no, I found myself doing a lot of that because there were obviously it was not the easiest thing in the world.
Please tell me you wasn't having a Tyrese meltdown.
I was not. No,
Okay,
Hey. Cut that man some slack.
I am.
Oh man.
Meltdowns can be masculine. It's okay.
It was so much machismo oozing off that.
Those are manly tears.
I didn't find myself in that situation. But no, it was a tough situation, like anything like that is, and we were together for a while. But I spent time trying to figure out, I guess, myself better.
You trying to get your game back?
Well, not necessarily though.
Yeah,
I mean,
got sharpen the old pencil.
I wanted to see, what worked, what didn't work, why things didn't work, and kind of what direction should I go in next.
Right? I mean, you're supposed to use those as learning experiences for whatever you come into next. So whatever you did wrong, or probably whatever that person did wrong, you would know how you would want to be treated, what you would want said to you, and what to say, and how to treat the person across from you in your next relationship.
Okay, so. Okay.
Here we go. That's what I'm waiting for. Go ahead.
So I find that this happens relatively often, that people don't take the time to self-reflect until something has gone wrong.
Right.
So why do we have to get all the way there?
Yeah.
Why do we have to wait until somebody's feelings are hurt or there's a failed relationship before we examine who we are?
So in my experience, just in this particular situation, the biggest reason is I was blind. So looking back, I do see some red flags that I should have been paying attention to months ago. Mm-hmm. And through, I guess, obviously when you're in love with someone, you have the blinders on and you can see past people's flaws or your particular situations in a relationship. So I do feel like I was blinded in that aspect. And after that blinder was gone, after, those feelings were kind of away, I saw, oh, wait a minute, there's certain things that were missing that I would like to have in the next go round. Certain key things that are now going to be red flags for me whenever I meet a new person. Because I've already lived through the experience of someone who had a similar trait or whatever. And now I know kind of how I handle certain things.
Okay. So not only do I do this, like, as my life, but I also have children who are very close to your age. So I'm feeling sort of maternal right now.
Why she talking like she old or something?
Because
I have a beard,
I'm actually grown.
You're grown. Yes. You're right. I'm sorry.
I'm a full adult. Anyway, I'm feeling a little bit maternal right now. And I want to caution you to not hold somebody else hostage based on what happened in this current relationship.
What do you mean by hold someone hostage?
I mean, you've already decided that there are some traits that will be red flags for you, which is fair. But the next person who does that one thing, it may not have the same impact. It may not even mean the same thing as when the girl with the B did it.
So essentially, not to hold on to that baggage.
Hold on to that baggage.
Essentially. Now, I do want to touch on baggage later on in the episode. Okay. That's going to be very, very interesting. But I guess we talked about relationships on this show a variety of times. Especially back in the pilot episode 7, dating in 2017. We talked about it again in pilot episode 13 with interracial dating versus black love. It seems to be a subject that is always in discussion. It's very difficult. What I want to ask you guys collectively is, why is dating so hard? Obviously, it seems to be a challenge for a lot of people.
I'm married. I don't know what you guys
I know, so this is not towards you.
But you should know, because you should be dating your wife.
Ooh. Dang it.
Oh.
Okay.
She's grown.
Well, technically, we've been on a date for the last 7 years.
Beautiful. There you go. Way to clean that up.
You know what?
It was never dirty to begin with. So, thank you.
There you go. This should probably also be dirty. Sometimes. I'm just saying.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Me and my wife, we only dated for about, I'd say we dated for about 3 months. And then we were engaged for about 3 months, and then we got married.
Okay.
So it was 6 months of us being together before we got married. I don't recommend that for everybody. All I know is that in that time period,
but I'm glad it's working for you.
Everything was falling into place perfectly. That probably will never happen again anywhere in my life, so I appreciate it. So before I met my wife, I was single for 3 years. I didn't have a girlfriend, no relationship, no fling, no nothing. I was by myself for 3 years because before that, I had a very bad relationship that was very destructive, mainly on my part, and I felt like I needed 3 years to heal. Real story is, I wasn't trying to heal. I tried my best to meet girls. It just wasn't working. So it was 3 years of failures that I masked as healing to where when I finally met my wife, everything was just too perfect for me to pass up. So I don't know if that was me just being happy to have someone or me realizing that I had someone that made me happy. But either way, I got it and I'm happy now.
That's awesome. I love it.
Thank you.
No.
What's up, Muhammad?
What's going on?
Actually, I want to hear what Gerald has to say first.
What's up, Gerald?
Gerald?
he there?
So
I didn't hear you guys. You guys cut out for a minute.
No, we were going to ask the same question. Why is it so hard to date?
People are it's like a consequence of our daily lives. We're so busy doing so many other different things during the day, trying to work, trying to find housing, preoccupying ourselves with different kinds of hobbies, sitting down and watching TV, that we honestly just kind of make dating a kind of like we kind of commodify dating like we do everything else with our lives. That's why like the rise of Tinder and other dating apps have kind of like put the traditional, oh, I'm going to go walk up to this girl and go talk to her kind of dating out the pasture a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I mean,
like it's not really hard. It's just like the difference. It's like the method is different.
I always thought it was that fear of rejection, or that fear of not having the right words come out of your mouth when you approach someone.
But doesn't that same rejection happen online?
Yeah.
Not only
Well,
that.
It's not as bad. Like you can talk to 1,000 different girls online, and they say all sorts of crazy stuff to them, and it's not as bad. The consequences aren't as like real and physical. You talk to someone in person,
Gerald.
And you get rejection, get the eye roll, you know, the neck roll and everything going on. Girls try to reject you.
No, he's right.
What are you saying to these women?
Yeah.
All kind of crazy things. I'm confused.
Stephen asked, "Do you know who you are, Gerald?"
I think that's what
exactly
Gerald
who I
says
am.
to the women.
Gerald, I call that keyboard courage.
Oh, wow.
I like that one. I'm about to steal
That's a
that.
good one.
Go for it. Just give me credit.
Steven says it's at a hashtag.
I think he's right. It is a little more intimidating to be face to face with a person.
Oh yeah, rejection in person is far worse.
Yes,
than
he's
rejection.
right. There's eye contact or lack thereof. Yeah. There's body language. There's the overall environment. You know, you were talking about clubs and stuff. Is where men usually approach women, and it's not the most, I would say, like personal environment. So It's very open. Lots of other people doing the same thing you're doing. Hell, it's probably people in line waiting on you to fail so they can go talk to the girl.
You know what's interesting though? So the last time I went to like a club, what was interesting was there was like.
Yeah, we're talking about Saturday.
Steven
it was very long ago.
Steven just said, "Are you talking about Saturday?"
Yeah. we went yeah, Steven was mind blown, by the way.
Muhammad, they can't hear Steven. Essentially, Steven was like, we went to a club that was originally a church. I'm not going to get into that part. But what was interesting was you had the guys kind of like hanging out on like the wall and kind of on the outsides looking at all these girls.
So it's 6th grade.
I was just about to say. It
felt like that. It felt like that. And like, and I, you know, I me trying to get outside of my comfort zone and try to face rejection head on. I just went up into random girls and started talking to them.
Hey, I'm Devontae Hill. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, you know, I started spitting some game.
What's up?
I have a
podcast.
podcast.
Afro Vibes. Here's my business card.
Yeah. Hey, girl, you want to be on the show?
Yeah.
You want to talk about social justice?
I have to advertise a show, guys. Okay.
Yeah, business cards all night, every night.
Anyway, the point was it was interesting to watch this non-interaction happen. Because, like, I imagine the guys wanted to talk to the girls, but I guess there was a hesitation there.
I think there's also a little bit of the some people have this idea that if I stand in one spot and look cool, people will come to me and talk to me.
That never happens.
Well, it doesn't happen because the people you want talking to you are standing in the corner trying to look cool, hoping you'll go talk to them. And you both standing across from each other looking like idiots, not approaching each other at all. So you pull your phone out, start going through it. The other person pulls their phone out, going through it. And no one's looking at each other in this club full of people. They're all looking at their phones. They're looking at lights and drinks and stuff.
Right.
It's a lot of interactivity in an active place.
Now, as a grown woman, Tracie,
Yes.
are you experiencing the same thing
Yes.
in your... Really?
Unfortunately, yes.
This doesn't change. Wow.
It doesn't change. And so I'm recently single. So I'm also experiencing this whole, like, you know, dating scene situation.
Right.
And, well, so I'm not that girl who's going to just, like, hang out on the wall. I'm not her.
No. I didn't really get that vibe from you anyway, so I figured you'd probably be a little bit more, slightly more proactive.
I'm way more proactive. But I also don't really fear rejection because I don't feel like I need a man.
Right.
Like, companionship is cool, and I want to have somebody to hang out with, and you know. But if I don't have somebody, I'm good.
So do you think it's the actually, you know what? I'll say this. What's interesting is when I change my approach, because I'm not after anything. When I talk to a girl, I just talk to her because I feel like doing it. I'm not trying to get a relationship with you. I'm not trying to have sex with you. I'm just talking. Because of that, I don't have a fear of rejection because there's not anything to reject.
Right.
I do feel, though, that if I was in the mindset of trying to pursue, that I would probably be slightly more hesitant because of, if she's like, nah, give me the Heisman, that might like. Right.
She can't just say no.
No, it has to be dramatic because you're playing it out in your mind. So it's going to be.
Yes.
It's going to be the worst case scenario.
Unless they got stiff arms.
Actually, Muhammad, I want to ask you that because you're like the Tinder king.
So my reasons for being on Tinder and Bumble is because I'm new to Houston, right? So it's a good way to meet people, right? To meet girls. But let me add something to what Gerald was saying and what all of you said. Failure is part of life, right? If you haven't failed, then you haven't lived. And you're gonna fail. Whatever you tend to do, whatever you start doing for the first time, you're not gonna be good at it. So with girls, if you're trying to court a girl, right? Or if you're trying to talk to them, ask them out in person.
Sweet. He said court. That's so sweet.
When you're trying to do that,
you made him blush.
It's not going to go according to your plan, or even when you're trying to hit them up on Facebook Messenger, what have you, right? It's not going to. It might not go according to plan, but that's why you try again, right?
Well, part of that is that too much planning. We do this whole back and forth. I've had the whole conversation in my head with you, and you had no input into that conversation at all. So then when you show up and shoot your game, as you say, and it doesn't play out the way it happened in your head,
like, oh, snap.
then you feel the proverbial
abort.
Yeah, exactly.
We gotta get out of here. Gotta get out of here.
So you like this music?
Nice weather.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's one thing that I don't like. So I don't like when you do go up to a person and they don't help at all with the conversation. Like
that means they're not interested.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if you say, "Hey, how you doing?" "Fine." "Oh, yeah, me too." Like you don't want that.
That means they're not interested.
Yeah.
If they're interested, they're gonna help.
Now, what I would like, obviously this is a fantasy world, but it would be nice if a person said, "Hey, you know what? I'm not really interested in talking to you."
Okay, I will admit, society has kind of ruined the male approach because there's a lot of instances where there's been people who have been very forward, very like, "Oh, you gonna talk to me" attitude. So I think some people don't handle rejection as well as other people.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is just to kind of be so uninteresting that they no longer are interested in you. So if I was excited to talk to her and she was just like, "Oh, okay, yeah, okay," maybe she's putting not a front, but maybe she's really not interested in me to where like I'm gonna like, you know what, she's kind of boring, I'll leave her alone, or she seems to not be interested. Because some people might say, "Hey, I'm really not interested," and they'd be like, "Well, so what that mean? What's wrong with me?" Blah, 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 blah. And it might not go well. So for some people, it's just better for them to just not be interested, not pay any attention for safety reasons, unfortunately.
Muhammad?
Yeah. So that was an interesting point you made, Kyle. Whenever things go awry, right, people start questioning themselves, like, what did I do? What was it that I said that made them feel some type of way, right?
Yeah.
Which is interesting. People always tend to blame themselves first. Right?
You can just it can't just not be there at night. It has to be oh, something wrong with me. Was it some way I look or I smell? Like and then they start getting deep. Like, oh, maybe it's because of something the way I walked in. Like people start dissecting their whole entire push, and they overanalyze to the point where if there's ever any time to be confident, which was that point, they no longer have that confidence. So now they wander around the club or they wander around the environment, not knowing what to do with themselves.
Or they project it outwardly, and it turns into what you were just describing.
And I don't want to always hint at something being violent. I just feel like there's an aggressive nature that comes with rejection. Because anytime someone gets a rejection letter or someone gets a note saying, sorry, we don't accept it, it's hurtful. Yeah. And usually people's nature when they're hurt is to either try to hurt someone else. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be verbal, emotional.
Yeah,
or just
let you feel the pain that I'm feeling right now.
It's like, well, I didn't want to go there anyway. Yeah. Or I really didn't want to talk to you.
You're not even like
you ain't that cute. I'm just trying to. I'm trying to be nice to you and ask you.
You might be a 5.
Yeah. So then that happens, and you're like, oh God, I'm just not interested. You don't have to be negative about it. So I think that tends to be one thing that happens.
So then, okay. So Devontae asked for people to just be upfront, right?
Yeah. What's the reservation?
So where's the balance is my question. Like, how can women, because it's usually us on that end of it, how can we like say nicely, no thank you, without feeling like we're going to crush somebody's whole world and send them into some kind of spiral?
Deep depression.
Somebody turns into Tyrese.
Honestly, it would be way better for you to just go ahead and just crush our heart right then and there. Do it right then and there, so we don't get, so that we get it. Don't give us any hint. Don't be ambiguous. Just
no glimmer of hope.
Deal and everything.
Oh no light at all.
Nothing.
Just completely seal that off. And I think that's a good thing because it's not as painful as people think.
No.
Like most people, the problem when people go to places is they see one person, they lock on that one person, nobody else exists, and then when they get disappointed, they can't even open
They want to leave.
They want to leave, and it's like there are literally hundreds of other people here. You can start this whole thing over with, and to some people, they see approaching a person as an investment. So like, I'm gonna buy you a drink, or hey, you want to come sit over here? And it's like when it doesn't pay off, you feel like you wasted your time.
And my thing with that is I don't offer people drinks. So because I don't know you, like I'm gonna buy you a drink for. I don't even know your name.
I don't even know this. I don't even know if this is like your 5th, 6th.
Yeah.
Like what's gonna happen?
You could be like one drink away from getting plastered, and it would have been my fault.
Yeah.
But I do think that we should probably change some of our approaches, though. I think you're right with the investment thing. You wouldn't feel as invested in that one person if you didn't put any money up. Because I mean, guys, us giving someone money, is important. Like that's real for us.
Yeah.
Especially with me. I'm very frugal. So if I give you some money, that means, hey, look.
If I give you some money, I know you for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
This is still at that point.
If I put up the bill, then I mean, hey, because I don't do that for everybody. So I reject myself when it comes to bills. So.
Your counterparts haven't caught up to you.
Well, one thing I have noticed is that one thing that kind of helps when you're approaching people is to approach people with people. So, for instance, instead of you talking to one woman or one man, why don't you and your friend or 2 of your friends approach a group of guys or a group of girls and just mingle? Because I've been to bars where, like we've hung out, everyone's talking. I'm not looking at any other women. We're playing Uno and stuff. Right. And just by interacting with a group of different sexes and talking, one person might come up to me and start talking to me separately. And it's like, oh wow, I wasn't seeking this, but apparently she likes the way I'm talking, or I like the way I'm interacting with people.
It's a safer environment.
It is, because now that person has the confidence to talk to me, or I would have the confidence to go and talk to that person, because it's not a one-on-one interview. It's a whole group discussion.
Right.
I get to express myself in front of this group of individuals. They do the same, and we kind of find our ways amongst the situation.
That's what we do at business events, right? We do that in a networking environment. We find a group that's already a group, and then we insert ourselves into that.
That's good.
Into that mix. So I think you're onto something.
Yeah. Unless you're just having a bad day and like all 6 of them just like no. That's a no from me. That's a no from me. You're like, oh,
you can leave now.
You can leave now. Yeah.
Right. But you might be that dude.
Yeah.
Or that girl. Like I don't want to, maybe.
No, yeah, I say that because nowadays you see more. There's actually a good amount of women. Like my wife approached me, so it's like women do target men. Not target, but women do approach men now more than you would think. Because it's easier to say men go after women, but there's a lot of women now that know what they want now.
There's also a lot of really aggressive women.
Yes.
Who have taken their cues from men, and who've decided that I'm done. Like
I'm done waiting.
Yes. Or being the
prey.
The prey. Exactly.
Switching roles.
Right.
Yeah.
And so instead of
some women out there sharpening their spears now.
Pretty much. Like, I'm done with the way y'all been doing things, so I'm gonna do it instead.
Yeah.
Now, how does that work when how does that work in that interaction? Because I've never actually been in that situation before where somebody approached me.
I mean, it's cool. Like, it's one of those things where if you have that mindset of I did this to attract somebody, I think you don't know how. You think that messes you up when you just come from a perspective of, oh, hey, here's a person I never met before. I'm gonna talk to this person. Oh, you like that too? I like that as well.
Right.
That is it's warmer than you already having an agenda or a mission statement in your head or some dialogue to say, whereas a person just comes up to you and you just have a natural conversation that could go well or could go bad, and either way you're okay.
Right.
Because if you try to target someone and you get their attention and you mess up, now it's affected you, whereas you just had a normal conversation, never thought about it, you'll be okay regardless if it's good or bad.
That's with a lot of things, though. I do think that would be interesting. And if a person did come up to me and start talking, it'd probably be pretty chill. I mean, I'm a talkative person anyway. So
Very
really,
talkative.
Yeah.
Very talkative. I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean it in a way where you could probably go up to a group of women.
Oh yeah, and I have actually.
Without any intimidation, just the simple mindset of, "Hey, how are y'all doing? My name is Devontae. This is Muhammad. This is Kyle. This is Steven. Hey, we were over here." So you could initiate conversations because you're used to talking. There's a lot of people that are not used to talking. They don't talk. They text, they email, or they don't talk at all.
Yeah.
So when they're in a situation where they have to talk, they don't say the right words. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to handle a conversation. They can't tell when a conversation. Yeah. Or they're too simple-minded and they can't tell if a conversation is going south. They can't tell when someone's not interested in them. Right. They keep talking as if they are.
Yeah. Well, that was, part of the impetus for I'm glad you asked, because it makes it easy.
Yes.
We're not talking about anything heavy. We're just shooting the shit.
Yes.
Hey, somebody beat you, Gerald.
Yeah. God, now he's going to overcompensate.
I have not cursed on this program in like 10 episodes.
We've only done
on
8. God.
Oh, Jared Drummond.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you, so coming up with the game, what was your first test session like when you remember getting it started? Do you remember what the results were, how people handled it the first time you went about it?
Yeah, so I printed one deck, and I invited a small group of my friends to come and play. And the outcome was complete hilarity. Everybody in the room was laughing at some point. And it's not designed necessarily to create laughter, but that's been the outcome every time.
How many cards is there?
How many are in the
deck?
deck?
Yeah.
50.
Oh, is that the deck right there?
Yes.
See what you got. See what you're working with.
May I?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. About to open up this deck, see what's inside.
So Tracy,
you asked.
Where did you get the questions from? You was just
They're questions I created.
questions created. Okay.
Tracy, what's your favorite shoe?
Converse.
Hey,
Ooh,
actually,
I like that.
All day, every day.
You should see my closet. It is awesome.
That's a comfortable woman right there.
Oh, yeah.
I am quite comfortable.
Did you see the Converse Modern?
I did not.
Oh,
I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, you should buy goat leather. That's what I'm
Okay,
trying to
this
say.
has been the We Love Shoes podcast.
But that right there is an example of a conversation.
Yes, it
Right?
is a boring one.
Can
So
you
anyway,
It depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And see how we just vibed?
and you
Like-
see how y'all weren't thrown off by my negative comments.
At
Good
all.
job. Good
I
job.
mean, haters are gonna just hate.
Yes.
Essentially what's going on.
Muhammad, right?
It's a converse world,
I
man.
mean, Muhammad, can you quote Indiana Jones?
Snakes.
Yeah.
I hate snakes.
So, Muhammad, actually talk about your experience with the event that we went to with Tracie, because Tracie's game was actually a part of the. What was the title? What was the title of the event?
Love is Blind. It was a blind dating event.
Yeah, and we forced Muhammad to be a part of it.
So overall, I'm glad I went. It was something I never done before. So it's, getting out of your comfort zone, being put on the stage, interacting with 3 random women, right? And being asked questions that I'm not used to being asked. But it was fun. It was I was able to learn about myself, right, on how I respond to such questions in such an environment, and then how the person I'm set up with, right, in those 3 rounds, how they answered and how we meshed. It was interesting.
How did
As
you
always.
mesh with some of those girls?
Yeah.
It was hard to tell at first, right? So the first girl I was with, it was because I was giving short replies, right? And
Yeah, weren't helping the situation at all. I had to yell at you.
Was
actually.
he going? Sure.
I felt like his parent. Like,
Absolutely.
don't maybe come on stage, Muhammad.
So Muhammad, what do you like to do? Yes.
He actually whispered in my ear during the intermission. It's like, "Hey man, give some more personality." I said, "Get out of my ear!"
Y'all went and took a knee, and huddled.
Yeah.
Break.
As the show started carrying forward, right, the second girl and third girl, I was given more lengthy answers. For some of the girls, I didn't feel like my answers were compatible with theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the audience thought differently, so
Hey.
Oh, there's an audience.
Yeah,
Yes.
the audience voted.
Oh
Yeah,
God, that's so
yeah.
much pressure.
Yeah, but overall, it was fun. Yeah.
That's good.
Ooh, I like this question. Finish this. I'm tired of
These sorry individuals.
these sorry individuals. Who are we
Yeah,
talking about?
I could elaborate, but I didn't feel like it.
You're trying to be like Muhammad, I see.
Yeah.
Ah.
Do I have a like?
These cards actually, I'm starting to notice there's kind of a nerdy undertone to this,
Yeah, I could tell.
and I like it because it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
do you read comic books? Do you like watercolor or crayons? I was like, man, you asked me questions about my childhood now. I like this one. Can you quote any female politician?
Oh, wow.
Like, all I can think of is like Hillary or like
Go for it.
Hillary. I got hot sauce on my bag, swag.
That's Beyonce.
Oh.
She
No,
stole it.
she's.
She corrected you on that one.
Sorry.
But I will give you credit
we
because
must
she
bring
did
these
actually
super-
say it.
We must bring these super predators to heel. Quote.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I knew he'd like that one.
Okay. So
Undesirables.
Yes.
I've played this with I don't know, maybe 200 people up to now, and the most often answer to that question, I can see Russia from my house.
Oh, I completely forgot about her.
Yeah. Everyone has. Thank God. Yeah.
Every time she shows up, they be like, "Oh, it's Tina Fey. Hey, girl, you look good.
Yeah.
Let me
Why
get
you
your
dressed up
autograph,
like
Tina.
Sarah Palin?"
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's funny. That I do feel like that's something that I feel like people don't embrace. Like, I'm not gonna say a nerdy side, but more of like a silly, more lighthearted side of themselves. It's like when you go to the club, men must be masculine, tough looking, ready to fight. Women must be loose, fun,
And naked.
eccentric,
And naked. Which
Hell,
actually,
the men now too. They wearing rompers out there now.
I don't approve of that.
They don't need your approval. They gonna wear whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
They gonna be in the corner with their cell phones and rompers, just waiting on a girl to approach them.
To be waiting for a very long time.
Very long time. It's gonna get cold in that club by the time they show up.
You know what was interesting with this game also is that, and Kyle touched upon this just a while ago, but you know, the questions that we were asked, you know, I didn't take it too seriously, right? So it makes you see yourself in a different light, and of course you're putting yourself outside your comfort zone, but you're also not taking yourself too seriously, which is good because usually when people are on a date, they try to present themselves in their best manner, right?
I got to make sure that I put because first impressions matter.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
First impressions do matter, but like Muhammad was alluding to, like we show up with this script.
Yeah.
And we know the high points we need to hit, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a master's degree.
You okay, Gerald?
No, Gerald's got a problem happening over there.
Okay. You have a master's degree?
So yeah, so we show up with this script, right? Like I need you to know that like
I'm qualified.
I'm qualified to be in a relationship.
I'm a businesswoman. I have a master's degree.
I got a business.
Right.
I'm running things.
Right.
Yes.
I look cute in heels and I can cook. Like, it's at the top of
you know
the
what?
list.
For some people, that's enough.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally stop that list right
there. You really
there.
could.
That's plenty enough for me.
I mean,
I don't need any more than that.
The cook one, you can be barefoot for all I care.
I mean,
you can have no feet for all I care. As long as
that's
maybe that's a little sexist, but it's just
maybe a little.
Maybe a little, a lot. Okay,
my dad did the cooking growing up, so
I do too. Not all of it, but I going back to the cards.
Yeah, I was about to say because your wife listens to this program.
Yeah,
so.
she does. Going back to the cards, I like I said earlier, I like the fact that it's very loose, and a lot of these questions they have that whole idea of like you can find someone who can have the same answer as you. So like the whole idea of like what's your favorite shoe?
Yeah, or Kyle, can you braid hair?
See, I can't. And then,
I got you on that.
And then you would be like, "Oh, I know how to." I'm like, "Oh, one day you should teach me." Yeah, how'd you learn how to braid hair? Oh, my mom taught me. You have a whole conversation based on one question from a card.
And that's really the point of the game is to create conversation.
Yeah.
All the time when I play with people, they wind up apologizing, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, we got off track. Like we've had this whole other like tangent conversation." That's the point.
And they've only flipped one card.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And you don't understand like that. That's life-saving right there because that builds confidence for that person to be like, I should probably start expressing myself more. So, like, one question was, you had one on here. It was like, do you blow bubbles? Like, there's not a lot of adults that blow bubbles. But you might have one adult that did. And you go, why the hell are you still blowing bubbles?
Yeah, and they probably will look at you kind of funny, like, what?
Yeah. They might get up for all you know. But
I'm going to walk up to a girl one day and ask, hey, this or that, paper books or audio books?
Yes.
Just to see.
There's one. What's your favorite?
I'm illiterate, Devontae.
Thanks for making me feel bad. I'm illiterate. Thanks.
It's a blind woman you're talking to.
No books.
Like, what's your favorite movie? Like, that's easily a great conversation starter.
Yeah.
Like, regardless, you could say the dumbest movie in the world, and that's going to start a conversation.
Yeah.
So, I think this is fun. Unfortunately, I'm married, so I can't play this game.
You can play. It's not made for dating.
Oh, okay.
It's made for conversations. Okay. So whomever you want to have a conversation with, whether you've just met them or you've known them your whole life, you can still play.
Okay. I like that.
We just used it for that dating event because I wanted to see what would happen if people couldn't see each other and only had questions to answer, and could they find some chemistry?
Yeah.
Did you find any chemistry?
One day you're gonna walk into a job interview and they're gonna your boss is gonna want to play this game to get to know you better.
Yep. It's coming.
Yeah.
I've already had some HR people to talk to me about it. So yeah.
Really?
Really? I was just joking around.
No.
I mean,
No, in real life.
Say, Gerald, I like your resume. It looks like you have the right job experience, but I do need to ask this one question. Do you sing in the shower?
Yeah, my favorite song is Bodak Yellow.
No, because, so in the business community, we talk a lot about company culture. And, just like in a dating scenario, you show up, you get dressed up, you put your best self forward, and then you like are in this room with all these people who you don't know, you've never met, and you're still just trying to be on. But if you have something like this that's just like casual and everybody's just chatting about whatever they're chatting about, then you get to like put your guard down for a minute and just be people.
Be people. That for some reason that's a
so
very difficult
hard.
thing to do.
I don't even know who myself is.
It sounded like you're about to say, I don't know who people
I can't
are.
be him. Yeah. I don't know who people are. I tend to know the small circle I'm in, but I think this is a great way to expand your circle and speak to more people. I could definitely see this at a bar, like just sitting on the table.
There's a couple of locations in Houston that currently have it, so you can play when you're there.
That's what's up.
I wonder, it'd be interesting if we took a day where we didn't take ourselves so seriously.
Yeah.
You know, like if the whole dating game wasn't that big of a deal. Like it's like, I'm about to go over here.
Act like a fool, you know.
You know.
I mean, that's what I always thought, like, reason why people drink or the reason why people going to alcohol, you know.
Yeah.
To loosen up and to kind of, you know.
And are you raising your hand that you drink, Steven? Is that what you're saying?
I believe he's saying 51.
Okay.
15? Yeah.
Close enough.
You know, Steven, you can talk to us. You have a mic there.
Don't tell him that. Okay. Yeah, it's yeah. Thanks, Steve.
No, like adding on to that, yeah, alcohol is liquid courage, right? So it makes people feel relaxed, at ease. They open up. You know, usually, I think dating mostly happens in either an environment where there's alcohol, or if there's other drugs, right, like pot.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's not the kind of parties you're going to.
You can have some good conversations with those
I mean,
items
I'm not
involved.
saying that those things don't exist or shouldn't. I'm just saying that it's unfortunate that we have to
have a substance.
To loosen us, to make us feel like we can interact with people.
I do believe there is a certain weight that a person carries throughout the day. You know, it could be their job, their personal life, their background, to where it's kind of hard for them to take that layer off.
So maybe they need some Cardi B in the car or
Perhaps.
meditation. I don't know.
I'm not saying alcohol should be the go-to, but I do feel like that kind of fits in the same realm as if like a person listening to music to unwind, or you know, a person exercising to loosen up, or a person watching a show that makes them laugh. You know, anything to kind of help take that level down, because you know everything that happens throughout the day can stress you out and weigh you down, can kind of give you this feeling of like, oh, I don't feel like doing nothing but going home, and you have to find energy to go out and be interactive. Right. That can be exhausting.
Then don't go. Wait until you have more energy. Because either way, you're going to show up and not be your best self. You're going to be fake. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to be a quote for today's episode.
Stay
Are
home.
you going to be fake? Nobody wants that. Tracie Jae. All right, so since we are still talking about dating, I do want to kind of touch back on a point we made earlier in the episode. Should guys venture out beyond the bar and club scene? Because apparently women are all over the place. Like you guys, I was at a Robert Gasper concert, and he's not like a Casanova or anything like that. And there was just nothing but women there, and I'm just like,
his
this is
music
cool.
is phenomenal.
He's good, but like, he's not like a sex symbol or anything,
no,
right?
but his music is phenomenal.
But where are the dudes
not walking
at?
out with leather pants on, with
he's
a
not doing
V-neck
that.
shirt. Okay,
But I'm saying, where are the guys at? Like, we don't appreciate music.
What is? You gotta forgive me. I'm not familiar with his work. Is he
jazz
like
artist.
a jazz art?
Yeah.
See, and I always felt like that's such a like. There's no gender for jazz.
Yeah.
Like there's men that like jazz, there's women that like jazz, there's old people like jazz, young people like jazz. Like that seems like a type of environment where everyone should be.
That's my point.
Yeah.
The place was like 70% women.
I mean, hey, it's a male singer, so or male, jazz performer. Maybe he just attracts women. Who knows? I mean, when B2K have a concert, what was in the crowd?
Now that's my point there. B2K, they're looked at as sex symbols. Well, at least back in the day.
Yeah, way back in the day.
Robert Gasper's not a sex symbol. No offense.
Not to you. Yeah.
I mean, he's cool. Like, he's a cool dude.
Yeah.
He has a really good personality.
Okay.
Like, he's a really talented
You sound like you're
musician.
breaking up with him right now. You're really cool. You have a
Devontae, is
great
there something that you
personality.
want to tell us?
So actually, Brittany is a pseudo word. It's actually Robert Gasper.
And I think Robert Glasper's from Houston too.
He
so,
is.
Yeah.
H-Town.
So he got all the Houston women.
I'm telling you, dude, it was very disappointing. Now, Bruno Mars, I understood that one. So that one I was not surprised.
I mean, there's Bruno Mars he's actually open. I remember Bruno Mars was like a love song singer. Now he's like a jammer, a party jammer, to where everyone is down with Bruno Mars. So I could definitely see a mixed crowd at this.
But there wasn't.
Okay, well, but it also makes sense for it to be because he still does the love song thing.
Right. So that one I get. Robert I didn't get. Beethoven I didn't get. I didn't get Beethoven.
Beethoven had a
Yeah.
You were there?
I was there.
Okay.
Now, granted, on that one, it was an older crowd.
Okay. It's a bunch of deaf people just sitting there.
I'm not going to judge you anyway.
So when you went to this Beethoven concert, was it before or after you invented your time machine?
I'm sorry?
He's joking. I said, were you there? You said, yeah, I was there. Like you were at a Beethoven symphony.
Oh, I didn't hear your part. You like blacked it completely out. I'm sorry, man.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. I think there are, like you said, plenty of places where you can meet people, not just men finding women.
Right.
I do think it needs to be a safe place, of course, a healthy environment, an open place to meet people because you want to be seen. You want to make sure everyone's okay. Like I said earlier, I think you should approach people, not a person, because it's easier to talk to people than it is to talk to a person, because that's one person that's going to judge you. It's one person going to look in your eyes. One person is going to have this whole idea of who you are, and that's one person you got to talk to. Where I feel like when you have more than one person, it makes things lighter because now you're talking to a group because they might respond to each other. They might both ask you questions.
Right.
I don't know, I just feel like that's safer.
And I do.
Okay,
yeah,
so it can be
wolves.
safer, but it can also like create this conflict situation.
You think so?
Because it's always like somebody who's hoping to get chose, and then if that's not the person who got chose, then there's like this
They're like,
whole
you need to leave.
So basically, I should have been talking to you, but I'm talking to your friend.
right.
Oh, that's funny. Excuse me, my sister. Can you tap that girl?
Yeah, I was basically trying to be friendly with you so I can get with your friend.
Right.
Oh, people have gotten married just to get with their wife's friend.
That's awful.
Oh wow.
That's much.
It
Yeah,
is
it
much.
is.
Like people have gotten in long-term relationships and been in love with the wrong person. Like it's.
I would love
probably
to know your circle.
Oh, I'm talking like I'm not in my circle at all.
Yeah. But also, like to Devontae's point, like you gotta mix up where you go.
Yeah.
Like so many times, like let's just use the spot on Emancipation because I live 5 minutes from there. When you go to the spot, the same people are at the spot. Like I don't know if those people go anywhere else in the city, but if you go to the spot, those same people are going to be there. So if you're always going to the same places, you're going to keep seeing the same people, and your odds of meeting more people or interesting people are much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that it's kind of good for you to kind of meet familiar people though? Because you can work with a person, you can work in a group of people and not speak to people on the other side of the office, but you see them every day, and maybe there's one day where you guys talk and you realize you got things in common.
But you can do that anywhere.
True.
Like, just because you see somebody all the time doesn't make them familiar. And it also doesn't mean you're going to be compatible.
Mm-hmm.
But oftentimes people mistake that familiarity for some sort of kindred
Like, I sit behind you in math class. Don't you know who I am? That type of thing.
Pretty much. And there's a lot of workplace romances that strike up specifically because people have spent a bunch of time together.
Yeah.
And not because they really should be together.
Yeah. I've seen that happen in marriages where they spent more time with their business partner than their own spouse. And then things might bleed over to work. So, I can see that happening.
And, you hear the expression work husband or
work
wife.
No, we don't do that.
Nah, I don't allow people to call me.
Especially, you don't go to your friend's wife and say, hey, work husband, because...
Yeah. That's why I work with a bunch of dudes.
Yeah. That way, if anyone says work husband, it's just a whole nother conversation you got to have.
That's funny.
Wow, okay.
Hey, you guys have any final thoughts to kind of share with our audience here?
I have a question. So, my wife, her favorite game is Taboo because it's basically
it's a classic.
Yeah, but she found a Taboo mature edition that's more mature. Not necessarily
Taboo at Night or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, I've played that.
Have you ever thought about expanding the game to include different types of archetypes? Maybe you might want to do more of a
more
friendship.
naughty.
Well, not necessarily naughty, but more friendship ones. Maybe one for one for women, one for men, and then more of a sexual romance type thing.
So, I get asked that a lot.
Okay.
And the short answer is no. Not because I haven't thought about it, but because those things already exist in the world. And that's not my goal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I really just want people to have authentic, healthy, non-pressure conversations. Mm-hmm. And there are way more than 50 questions where this one came from.
Yeah.
So there'll eventually be some other versions of this game, but they won't necessarily be with a slant.
Oh.
Okay. I like that.
Gerald, we haven't really heard your voice in a while. What's up, man?
Yeah, I was actually talking to this girl on OkCupid, so sorry, guys. I kind of got distracted with that. I think that this is a really good thing, and I think this is a really positive development as far as getting people to kind of talk and open up with each other. And I'm looking forward to more of these things being developed.
Hey, is she hot?
Oh, yeah, she is.
Okay, good.
Okay, I see you, Gerald.
I'm not going to waste time. I'm not like y'all.
All I want to say is just be yourself. Wherever you're going, or essentially if you're going on a date, just be yourself. If it doesn't work out, there's plenty of other people out there. Yeah.
And is that from personal experience, Mohammed?
Yeah, this is just over the years, right? Trial and error.
Mohammed's still fishing. He just needs a new type of bait.
I like Tracie's approach, especially in this game, not taking yourself too seriously. I know it's definitely worked for me. Not to put my business out there, but I'm doing very well because I'm not taking myself too seriously. So
Lord.
I think it's very valuable. It's very valuable.
Do you need Iyanla Van Sant to come over here and give you a nice big hug?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that would do it for today's episode, guys. I hope you had fun. I know I did. And Tracie, we appreciate you being on the show.
This was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Tracie.
so
much.
Anytime you're bored and you want to come back, hopefully we didn't have a horrible first impression on you.
I will come back anytime.
Great. All right.
And thank you guys from the Medulla community for choosing to spend your time with us here at the Afro Vibes Radio Houston Studios. For today's poll question, we want to ask who should make that first move, men or women?
We don't have a third option?
You want to have one? What's the third option?
They meet each other together, maybe?
Yeah, halfway.
Okay.
Halfway,
I'm going to put that one in halfway.
50-50. Right?
Yeah.
Or 50-50.
Hey, I saw you staring at me while I was staring at you.
Yeah.
That poll only works if you're talking about heterosexual relationships.
Ooh.
Just FYI.
All right. So actually, you know what? Let's just wing it. Let's make up a new poll question.
Is it good to be aggressive or non-aggressive?
Yeah.
All right. Aggressive or non-aggressive?
There we go. That's good.
So there you go, guys.
Yeah.
Is it good to be aggressive or non-aggressive? 2 options. Yes or no?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes or no? Let us know what you guys think by submitting your answer in the poll question title for episode 8. Just go to totalmedulla.com and look for the episode titled Social Interactions Within Dating. that is all the time that we have for today's episode. Hope to see you guys next week. We're out.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Medulla Talk on Afro Vibes Radio Houston. Join the Medulla community at totalmedulla.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Total Medulla.